What would it take for Seattle to cover 9.5?
What would it take? Kenneth Walker. I don't know if Kenneth Walker is playing.
Bravo
He
6.
wasn't playing.
Going dark.
So we got the Cowboys and the Seahawks tonight, and you put in the Discord you're riding with the Cowboys, which as an
Cowboys
NFC East
spread.
as an NFC East guy, that hurts. What was the spread? 9.5. We have them at
9.5. I took Dallas spread. What did you take?
Dallas plus 9.5. You know, at first looks, it looks good, right? Like Dallas is one of the best offenses in the league. What was that stat that you posted in the Discord?
They have the fifth best offensive line, according to PFF, in the league. Seattle Seahawks have the 29th best offensive line in the league. I think the Dallas defensive line puts a good amount of pressure on the offensive line.
It makes it real hard for Geno Smith to get some passes off.
Dallas gave up. They cannot run the ball. I don't think that's because of the talent. I think that's because of just the opportunity. Dak has been going off quite a lot.
Yeah.
Their offensive line is number 5th. There's no reason they should be able to not run the ball, you know? Like, if you have a good offensive line, that means you can run the ball. Honestly, I was thinking to take, like, Dallas, the spread, and over on Tony Pollard, rushing plus receiving, but I couldn't find a bet, so I just took the spread by its own. But Tony Pollard rushing plus receiving is a good bet, I think. I think rushing is around like 63. He has about like 58. He had like 73 last game. I don't know, man. Seattle played San Francisco last week. They shut DK Metcalf off.
Yeah.
Darren Bland in Dallas is having one of the most incredible seasons as a cornerback in the history of NFL. But he had like 5 pick sixes so far, which is the record. You know, Micah Parsons, a dog, as always. Who else do they have? They have, I think, Stephon Gilmore, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know who the other cornerback is. I think it is Stephon Gilmore. They got Brandon Cooks, CeeDee Lamb. Yeah, I think there's gonna be a one-side. Michael Gallup. I don't know. Michael Gallup. He decides to catch a ball sometimes, but not the other time. But either way, as a Giants fan and as an Eagles fan for you, it's very hard to support the Dallas.
Hell yeah.
Agenda here.
But so at first, right, it looks like very one-sided Dallas. But then you question, like, why is it only 9.5 then? If
9.5 is not is
that's
what do
only
you
a
mean? Why
touchdown
is
and a
it?
field goal, you know, I would think that it seems at first glance that it should be higher. It should be maybe 13.5. Maybe it's 2 touchdowns. You know, like Dallas is good this year, and Seattle's kind of middle of the pack. And you're right, like teams have been locking down DK Metcalf, and you know their running game is fine, and Geno Smith's making things happen. But like, it seems like it should be higher. So I went in and I did a little bit of digging into what would it take for Seattle to cover 9.5.
What would it take? Kenneth Walker. I don't know if Kenneth Walker is playing. He wasn't playing last week.
Playing.
I
He's
saw
doubtful right now.
he's doubtful. I saw Charbonnet play against San Francisco, and I was personally not impressed with that.
Me
There's
neither.
people
Oh,
here.
guy. Yep. Yeah, Charbonnet was not. I don't know. Like they drafted him and had talked a lot of hype around him, but yeah, I don't think he's it. I think it's going to be a lot of having to be relied on the defense. I think it's a good matchup for Seattle to. Where am I getting shot from? I think it's a good matchup for Seattle defensively because the Cowboys are such a pass-heavy team that I found him. Motherfucker. They're such a pass-heavy team that.
Yeah, come save me.
Hold on. I'm trying to kill somebody. They're such a pass-heavy team that it's going to be a lot reliant on really like Seattle has one of the best safety pairs in all of football.
Who are their safety pairs?
And Quandre Diggs and Jamal Adams.
I thought Jamal Adams is out. He
Nah.
wasn't. Was he? He was injured. I thought last game.
I didn't see him on the injury report. I overlooked it, but yeah, uh, they're that's set up for beating, over getting beat over the top. So I think that's going to be the focus defensively for the Seahawks is don't get beat over the top, and I think they'll be able to do that pretty effectively, which is going to make it interesting for Tony Pollard, like you said, which I really like that over bet because if they're not seeing success in the air, then they're probably going to rely on the run a little bit more, or that kind of like middle short run
Yeah.
throws.
100%.
So I think at the end of it, like it's a trap. I think it was a trap bet when I looked at it, and I took Seattle.
For Dallas.
I took Seattle
Yeah.
plus 9.5. Just
Yeah.
thinking that it might not be the game that everybody expects it to be. At that
Dallas have
9
been.
total.
Yeah, Dallas Cowboys schedule. Let's go through what their schedule is, right? Like so far this year. Um, Last week they blew out the Commanders 35 points. The week before they blew out the Panthers by 23 points. Right? Both of those teams are pretty ass compared to Seahawks.
Yeah.
The Giants, they blew them out by 32 points. They lost to the Eagles for 5 points. So last 3 games they beat every team by like 20 points.
Yeah, and they were scoring a fuck ton of points.
Yeah, and then they lost to Eagles. Let's take out the Eagles game.
Mm-hmm.
And then the game before, Dallas beat the Rams by 23 points. And then they lost against the Chargers and then the 49ers. They beat Patriots by 35 points. They lost to Cardinals. What the fuck? And then they beat the Jets by 20 points. So whenever they won, every game that they won, right? So let's look at every game that they won. Right, the first game they beat the Giants by 40. The second game that they won, they beat them by 20. The third game that they won, they beat the Patriots by 35. The fourth game that they won, they beat the Chargers by 3 points. The fifth game that they won, beat the Rams by 23, beat the Giants by 32, beat the Panthers by 23, beat the Command. So like out of the 8 wins, 7 of those wins are more than 20 points. Yeah, out of the 8 wins that they had this season, 7 of them are about 20 points.
Rate that difficulty though. You name those teams, they're all. I couldn't name a cornerback on any.
I don't know, bro. Like the Giants gave a pretty hard-fought game against the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Now let's look at the same thing for the Seahawks, right?
Yeah. And what are the
let's
Seahawks?
look at the
like
Seahawks.
5 and 6 or
6 and 5. Right. So they lost against Rams. They lost to the Rams by 17 points. They beat the Lions. They beat the Panthers by 10 points. They beat the Giants by 21 points. I thought it was pretty close, but it's not. They beat the Bengals beat them by 4. The Ravens beat them by 34 points, bro. The Ravens beat the shit out of them. The Rams beat them by 1 point. So out of their 5 losses, right? Let's look at their 5 losses.
Yeah.
Their 5 losses came against 49ers. It's their most recent loss.
Okay.
They beat them by 18 points.
Okay.
They lost by 18.
Okay.
The second recent loss that they have is against the Rams. Rams are pretty ass. Surprisingly, Rams are ass. That's a topic for another
Yeah.
another day.
Let's start moving inside circle.
They lost by 1 point. The third recent loss that they have is against the Ravens by 34 points. The fourth really recent loss that they have is the Bengals by 4, and then they lost to the Rams again by 17 points.
That schedule is a lot harder than Dallas's schedule.
Yeah, that's because of the schedule, right? Like it's 49. They're in the division with the 49ers, the
Right.
Cardinals, the Rams, whatever.
Yeah.
Which
right now it's a
the
harder
schedule
division.
is hard. And I think like if you're looking at like quarterback rate, like if you look at QBR, Geno Smith, game log. I
excited to see
think
Geno
personally
Smith under
the
pressure.
the eye test tells me that his QBR has been trending down.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at his
The good old.
his
eye
QBR
test,
last
QB eye
game.
test.
His last QBR rating was 14.9 against the San Francisco, 64 against Rams, 48 against Washington, 13.9 against Baltimore. Like he didn't have anything above 70.
Yeah.
all
and what is
season.
probably like I think like a good QBR is like kind of an average QBR. Average good is above 65. 68.
The perfect QBR is 158.
Right.
Let's look at Dak QBR, right?
Mm.
Um, so Dallas Cowboys quarterback QBR. Last game it's 87, 83, 97, 70, 82.
Oh
They're
yeah,
all
Dak's
in the
been having
80s.
Dak's been having a crazy.
Dude,
crazy
Dak's like it's crazy. Like, as a Giants fan, it's hard to say this, but like Dak's having one of the best years of his career, I think.
I just killed somebody. They just ran right by me in my bush. Yeah. Ooh, I got some crown. Yeah, Dak's having a crazy year. And it
One of
sucks
the
that he has to
best.
play
One
in
of
the
the
division with
best.
the Eagles.
Yeah,
Here's a bush right here.
I got shot at.
Me too.
There's two bushes right here.
Are they real bushes?
The
or
bushes are come.
human
Yeah.
bushes. The human bushes. Yeah, it's gonna be a good game. I think it's not gonna be one that we expected it to be. Oh, I'm dead. Oh my god, they're trying to build a house around me. I died. You can get my token. Yeah, we'll see. I think it's just gonna be maybe a game that's gonna be lower scoring. Again, like this is probably the only exciting Thursday football, game
In a while.
all season, maybe question mark. And if it's anything like all Thursday night football games, it's gonna be another ass Thursday night football game because
I hope not,
what
man.
Amazon
I was
pays
supposed
us
to go to a movie tonight, and then I said like I have too much money in this game, so I'll stay here.
I put the tickets. I hit him with the gun. Yeah, fuck him up. Fuck him up. Oh.
What the fuck?